Hey, it's not even a week past the time that Rachel, my daughter, left to college, and I'm thinking it's way too quiet around here. Also, it's cold and rainy. I don't know what it's like in your part, but I like that because it's been too hot all summer. We're of the persuasion, we're in the area, I should say, where most people are threatened by fires. So I'm actually good with the rain and the cold, but it's an adjustment, and all the quiet, not the noise in my home, is probably extremely different than your home right now. Welcome back to Not Back to School. If you have already started in the last couple weeks or you're about to, then welcome not back to school. I want to jump here to share with you just a little bit about what this group coaching program is that I'm offering beginning next Thursday at September 7th, the Reimagine Your Homeschool group coaching program, because it's at this time of year, if you have not homeschooled before, that you are thinking, okay, I'm excited. I'm looking forward to using all the things I've purchased or doing all the things I've planned. And I know that was my experience for many years. Somewhere between September and October, November, pretty exciting. Then the energy begins to wane. If you look back at your experience in this last year, what homeschooling was like for you, what were the biggest challenges for you? Because your biggest challenges don't have to be ones you bring into this upcoming year. So though it be not back to school season for your kids, and you're not really putting your kids into school, but you could join me and learn a few things that will help you reimagine your homeschool. It's not even a week since my third daughter, left to college, and it just feels like I don't want to stop homeschooling. I don't want to stop this family life that we've got the way that we have it. And I'm not, because I still have a kiddo at home. However, he's 3 years from moving to his next stage of life. And I can see where this is going when I've launched my third daughter. I can see that it means I am on the precipice of a whole new phase of my life. So maybe I should have a baby. Okay. I know. You're probably like, how old is she? So I've said this joke for so long that I think most times when I say that joke, people look at me weirdly. They look at me sideways like, could it be done? Probably not. But I love that phase, the early baby phase. Well, I've memorialized it in my mind. I know many of you are having babies right now or have little ones, and though they are super sweet, you're probably exhausted. So my heart is with you there. And I wish I could hold your baby and smell your baby and enjoy your baby while you got some things done or got some rest. But I'm not there anymore, so I don't see it quite the same way as I did when I was in it. But it was amazing. And I would do so many things differently if I could back up the bus, because I have learned so many things over the last 24 years of mothering or being pregnant with 4 kids. And it has been, I would say, an amazing journey, but there are many things that I wish that I would have done differently. Said every mother, but I really would. I wish I could have. And that certainly speaks also for my homeschool experience. Here's a few things that I would have done differently if I could have. Or if I could start all over again, which I don't really want. I'd do these things. I'd clarify why I was doing what I was doing. And that includes having babies, not just homeschooling, but that includes why I was doing what I was doing from my day-to-day activities. I don't know if you're with me in this, but there are certain things that I told myself when I became a mom that I had to do. Like I had to simultaneously have the house totally clean and also be with my kids all the time and enjoy it all the time. So instead of looking at these unrealistic expectations and saying, well, of course I didn't think they're unrealistic, but if I could just do all the things, then I would be happy. I would just choose to do one thing at one time and ask myself, does it really align with my values? And that goes for homeschooling. I would do the same thing. When you do that, you delete a lot on your to-do list. The second thing I would do is also to explore some strategies for the oft repeated moments of frustration or overwhelm that I had. There's a reason I wrote the book, Homeschool Mama Self-Care, which is actually holding up the screen right now. I wrote that book really to other homeschool moms that I knew were overwhelmed or frustrated more often than they wanted to be. But also I wrote it to me in my fruit orchard over there, trying to encourage myself with all the things I knew to be true. They were tools that I'd learned over the course of time to address my overwhelm and my frustration and repeated frustrations. I learned, and I encourage you to think through or to consider this, that there won't come a time where you have it all figured. It's not going to be a thing. You're always going to be growing. You're always going to be learning. There's always going to be one more thing that isn't quite figured out. When we accept that we are on a growth trajectory, or, people talk about growth mindset, when we accept that we really are here to grow. And I'm speaking this at a season where the full moon is literally once in a blue moon full moon, and it's probably calling us to growth in ways we hadn't expected before, but we're always on a growth trajectory. And if I can cement that inside of me, and if you are encouraged to or reminded that that is your reality all the time, you're always in a state of growth, then those moments of frustration and overwhelm, they're still going to be there. But they'll be like light signs or just signs for you where maybe you could grow in a different way. Just like our emotions can be signals for us to learn from. So if I could do it all over again, I would go inward and learn about my triggers, become more self-aware, learn a little bit more about how to shift my mindset towards growth rather than trying to be unrealistically perfect. When it comes to homeschooling, I know I would definitely lean into child-led learning. I spoke a lot about that in the podcast this week. It actually, it's funny. I have tried out all the methods except for Montessori. Like, I know what Montessori is, and I did some of it naturally, but I didn't do a lot of exploration in it when I was homeschooling. But I did sample all sorts of methods over the course of time. And I really didn't want to commit to one when I was in this space of mentoring or coaching women. I didn't want to actually own one because I don't want to tell you what to think and how to approach things. Partly because I know that none of them really hit a mark of perfection to address all the needs in your family, but also because I don't think there is one right way. The conversation I had yesterday with Vicki Tillman from the Homeschool High School podcast, it just reinforces the same thoughts again and again for me. There isn't one right way to homeschool high school, and there is not one right way to live a life and one right way to homeschool or to do anything. And we all come by our experiences for very different reasons. We have very different histories and we have different values, and that is definitely true. And therefore we have to honor that how you do homeschool is going to be different than how I do homeschool. So I don't always want to own what the method is, except that I know from experience, and I hear it from other moms, primarily moms, in how they're engaging their kids, that when they are trying to do something, no matter how beautiful it is and how wonderful it is, if they're trying to create something in their homeschool because they have determined that this is a really great way to do it and we should do it this way, if it doesn't involve the child in front of you, you're going to come up with your own unnecessary frustrations because you're not homeschooling so you can serve the homeschool method. You're there to educate a specific child and hang out with the child too. You don't have to educate them. You can just hang out with them. Another thing that I would do is, I would work with somebody, whether it was a coach or a therapist. I really would. And back in the day when I first started homeschooling, or even if you back up to when I started mothering, the idea of me going to a therapist was me crawling out of my skin. I hated the idea of it because at that point in my life, I was really trying to not own who I really was. And not because I didn't want to own who I was really, but rather I was too uncomfortable with the idea of really owning who I was. and I was hiding, didn't know I was hiding. So the idea of telling everybody, even if it's just one person, all the things that were going on in here just felt super threatening and uncomfortable. But I've learned now that the act of being vulnerable and authentic with somebody else and using them as a sounding board, especially somebody that's had experience before you, is powerful and can really shift how you do everything. I won't go into the details, but I had a conversation with one mom, or she shared one conversation bit about how something we'd chatted about in coaching had shifted her approach, and she's anticipating a really big event in her life. And I am so grateful to walk alongside her, so excited for her about what's coming. And she just really was able to embrace the unknown and fully determine that she's going to be great, not just okay, but she's going to be great in this next phase of life. And you know who you are, because you've spoken to me recently and you definitely know what the big event is. And one day I can't wait to announce it to the world. It's so exciting. Like, it's so exciting. And by the way, I can hear my girls right now saying, you can't talk about something with someone without telling them the whole details, because it always makes them go, why did you say it at all? Anyway, I'm excited. The fifth thing that I would add is that I'd use all that I understand about my kids and what my needs were, and I would revamp my routines, whether that was my homeschool routines or my morning routines or my health routines or my creativity, my creative routines, or curriculum choices, or like literally everything that I was doing. I'd revamp it and I would ask myself, does this really serve me and my kids? And sometimes some of the things that my kids would love to do, I would say, I can't, because I can't do everything. I would time block my life. I would actually determine how much time I had, decide what I really wanted to do, and put time into every day, or at least every week. And I would say, I'm doing that. I'm doing it whether I have the time or not. One of my own girls has said to me today that she needs 5 more hours in her day. And I laughed. I mean, she's not even a mom yet. And that's classic. Our culture is always encouraging that. But those are that's really the first 5 things that I want to share with you that I would do differently. If I were to start this mothering homeschooling thing all over again, I'm going to join here tomorrow again and share the other things that I would share, or that I would maybe coach myself and do myself with my homeschool family. But I got to run because I need to go chat with another woman. So I hope you have a really great day, and we'll talk to you soon.